Listen closely, my friends, for scary stories abound to keep you awake through the pitch black night. Oh, have I got a story for you?
Hey Jake, thank you for coming on to my little ghost story shorts.
Oh yeah, my pleasure, Merle. Um, I gotta say, I've got a story or two
Let's hear them.
for you. And we'll start with the most recent one. This is January 2nd, 2021. So if you're not familiar with where I live in Washington State, not far from Puget Sound. And it was about a couple days. I mean, we're into the New Year's, but a couple days after a really bad snowstorm. There's about a foot of snow down on the ground and it's melting quickly. I'm in my office and I've got the dogs. We have one of those nest type setups for the front gate, and the front gate's probably 150 feet away from my office. And the alarm went off. Like it rang like someone was at the the front gate. And I'm like, well, I'm not getting any packages today. And I look over at the monitor. My house is wired. Okay, I got cameras everywhere. Not in the bathroom. Don't get freaked out. And I didn't see anyone. So I'm like, okay, I bet what it is, snow and ice, it's melting, it gets into the button, and it's just like a malfunction. So I had to let the dogs out anyway. It's about 4:30. So this time of the year, that's dusk. Things are starting to get dark pretty quickly. And so I go out to the gate and the dogs are running around and playing in the snow. And there's a kid standing outside of the gate. So what I've got is I've got the a cedar plank gate. So there's only, like a quarter-inch slot in between every one of the boards. And I see this kid. And I'm not good with kids. He looks about 10. I'm not that tall to begin with. And this kid's probably like a foot shorter than me. So I'm thinking maybe 10 or 12. Okay, I'm 5'5" people. Or was it 165 centimeters? In Canadianski.
I still use it.
And yeah, so that's probably useful for the Canadians, eh? And he's just wearing a gray hoodie, unmarked. He's got some blue jeans on, I can tell, sneakers. He looks like either he's Hispanic or Native American, though. I mean, I'm a pasty white dude. The kid was definitely olive skinned. And I'm like, hey, do you need help? Because you wouldn't have, I live on a stretch of road. It's like a half a mile of like three houses, and across is just a big open field from me. And I'm like, do you need help? Are you lost? And the kid's like, let me in. I need to use your phone. Can I use your phone? And I'm just sitting there. It's like, it's not a problem. Just give me your phone number. I'll call your parents or whoever you want to pick up. And it was a boy, of course. And he's like, no, let me in. I need to use your phone. I'm like, I got my cell phone right here, kid. And I couldn't see his like hoodie, kind of like if my hat here came over, and I couldn't see his face that well and through the slots and everything. And then Mikey, who's my really big pit bull, he's like 100-pounder with a head like that. He looks like an alligator head. you know, he comes up and he starts barking at the kid. So I turn and I shush him. And when I come back, the kid's not there.
Oh my God.
So I open the gate and I step out because there's about 15 feet to get to the road between the gate doors. I'm looking and there's nothing there. And it's still daylight out. I can still see everything. What was just snowbanks along the road. I'm like, and there's no footprints in the snow right outside the gate. So I'm like,
That's crazy.
yeah, I'm thinking everyone said black-eyed kid. This is like total black-eyed kid type thing. And I think it's probably because the gate was closed normally. I think it would have been on my front porch. Uh yeah, but I had never heard about black-eyed. I heard after this, I went researching and I heard black-eyed kids, about that age, 10 to 12, maybe 8 to 12, maybe young teens. The hoodie thing works out, the blue jean things works out. I never looked down. Apparently, that's a bad thing to make eye contact with them. But yeah, I don't know what to tell you. And when I
Imagine
went
opening the
back,
gate.
yeah, and I went back and I checked the video cameras, and there's nothing ever on the cameras. You can see me open the gate and walk out, and you can hear Mikey barking and me asking questions, but there was like nothing
Damn,
on the
that is
video
so
camera.
creepy.
Yeah. Second story, you're
Yes.
going to step back. Actually, my first encounter with the paranormal. And I grew up in northern Wisconsin. So another winter tale. It's about a week before Christmas. I was about 7 actually at this time. And I lived in a farmhouse, 2-story farmhouse up in the hills. If you know where Superior, Wisconsin is, that's where I grew up. Very cold. And and it was one of those 3-day winter storms had set in, a combination of ice and like wet, heavy snow. And the farmhouse I lived in, I had a bedroom on the second floor. It looked over what was like a half collapsed well and a big old oak tree. And the snow was falling. You can hear the ticky tack of the sleet bouncing off the windows and it's building up. You get that icy crust in the panes and everything. And it's probably 9 or 10 at night, winds howling. And our neighbors, they raise sheep and cattle, but from time to time their fence breaks down and the critters get out and they come into our yard because it's literally, the farm line, a dirt road, and our house. And I could see these big, fluffy, floofy, matted sheep start walking into our front yard, and they're coming to um, gather around that oak tree. And so we have the well, and there was a sheep, and it kind of slipped, and it didn't fall down the well by any means. My dad's been filling in this well. It's probably at the time probably 12 feet deep, or about 3.5, 4 meters deep in Canadian. Uh, and a sheep slipped, and it's wiggling around, and this black, kind of like a sloth, if you know a sloth. It's got long hair, black. I just saw this really long, skinny arm come up with like these claws and hook it in the back leg, like in its thigh, and
Jesus.
just pinned it. And it was like, you know, shaking around, and the other sheep ran off. And then you saw it get pulled under, and there's the blood smear and everything there from it. I could see the red streaks even through the snow.
Good God.
And down in the well it went, and all the sheep scattered. So probably it was the morning of like the third day the storm had let up. And so I'm downstairs with my brothers, and there's like 2 feet of snow on the ground, and you can see the blood next to the well or anything because the snow built up. And so Mr. Halverson is his name. He was the farmer. Rest in peace, Mr. Halverson. He came and he had his pickup and a tractor and stuff. And my dad had been helping him get some of his sheep. About half the sheep died in the storm,
Wow.
and they were in a field down the road for us. And I said, I think one of the sheep fell in the well. So they went and looked. And then my dad, he said, boys, get back in the house. And they hooked up like a rope, where you tie the knots on it and stuff. They took it off the tree actually because we had kind of like a swing thing. And my dad went down in the well, and upstairs looking, we saw Mr. Halverson using the tractor and stuff. They pulled up. It was the sheep, and
Hmm.
its belly had been slit open. It was gutted, and you could see like the crystal red along along the wound. And they quickly threw it in the back of the pickup truck and was covered up and everything. Um, and Mr. Halverson left, and I went up to my dad and I kind of tugged because I'm like 7, so I tug on my dad's coat, and I look at him, and he said, "What did the monster look like?"
Wow. Maybe your dad knew something.
Yeah, I mean, and my dad was never really into the paranormal. Um, Talked to him a couple times about this since then. The story we went with it was a black bear because we have black bear in northern Wisconsin. Woke up, but you don't get a long, skinny sloth-like hand with those hook-like claws. That's not a bear thing.
No,
And there was so much snow, we didn't see any tracks. When the snow started to melt, like follow up, you could see some of the blood smear in the snow. Um, when you got down deep enough.
that's so creepy.
Yeah. So those are my stories, Merle.
Those are great stories, Jake. Thank you.
Oh yeah, my pleasure. Anytime. I love a good creepy tale,
Oh,
especially a true tale.
absolutely. We'll have to have you back for some true creepy tales.
Yeah, I got a couple more. They're not monster related, but I am surprised that after that I did not become a cryptozoologist.
Me too, because that's up your alley as well.
Yeah, I do love my monsters.
Cool. All right, Jake. Thank you.
All right, take care.